10 months ago I got this special foldable phone from Huawei, the Huawei Pura X, and in this video I want to tell you if this is a good device, if it held up pretty nicely in this 10 months, or is it just an experiment that failed. So let's get started. So first of all, the design. I got the special edition that has this fake leather kind of back, and vegan leather. Holds up quite nicely, and I even have the original screen protector on this outer display here, the small, 3-inch kind of display that we have here. We have the side button mounted fingerprint scanner that is working quite nicely, and it's just a bit cumbersome, but you can get used to getting the volume change like this in the closed state. But the more fun, I have to say, in this 10 month was opening up the device. And then you can use the whole potential of the 6.3 16:10 aspect ratio. 6.3 inches doesn't sound big, but the aspect ratio is making it big, especially big for reading websites, for example, or even the viewfinder of the camera. The only thing that really becomes a bit cumbersome, especially I notice in the 10 month, is that when you have it like this, the fingerprint reader is now here on the top, so not on the side. This is just the volume rocker. So to unlock it, I have to get another finger scanned in this case my pointy finger of my right hand, to unlock the device. But of course it also has a very good face detect, even though it's only 2D. That's also allowing me to unlock very quickly in this manner. Everything that has something to do with reading becomes a pleasure on this very wide kind of screen. Like even emails are a pleasure to read, and you can see everything at once. You don't have to scroll too much to see the news, notifications and news. By the way, nice headphones. And the whole operating system feels very, very fluid. Even though it's a completely new operating system, HarmonyOS Next has been updated now quite extensively on this device, up to version 6.0 that I have running here right now. If I can go to settings, I can show it to you here. This is version 6.0.130 that I have here running. Then we come already to the Achilles verse of this new operating system, application support, because it is a bit of limited, because native applications for the global market are hard to find. There are a few of them only, like Uruk keyboard, that makes it easy to use a different keyboard language or layout that is not supported by the Celia keyboard that the device ships with. And yes, there is Android container support, but it's a third-party application that you have to install, or 2 third-party applications if you want to have the full support. And those offer almost the same as what you get with MicroG and the Aurora Store on the global units running EMUI, but not there yet 100%. And some of the limits I will talk about in this video as well. So the apps that you have to install are Droidtong and Easy Abroad to allow Android apps to run here. Easy Abroad especially allows you to also install Google applications. So if you go in here and you go into the applications, you will see there are multiple Google applications that you just can install it, or you can just search for them, which is also possible. It's very nice. It also offers you updates, and you see you have several updates there also for Google applications, WhatsApp and so on, that I can install now, and it will then update the Android side of things there. So Android applications are mostly working. I also like the possibility to go into the Chrome web browser. I don't like to use Chrome in particular, but what it allows me to do is just like I go search for Telegram APK, and it will give me a link to Google Play Store. And if I click on this, even though it doesn't appear on the Easy Abroad before, it would appear here and allows me to install then the application. Maybe Telegram is not the right choice, but other applications. And also to update a bit earlier than before. This allows me also to run applications like, for example, ChatGPT without any issues there. ChatGPT takes sometimes a while to load, but is loading then. I have lots of chats in there. That might be one of the reasons why it's taking so long to load, but at one point it will load and let me in and allows me to use ChatGPT. Same goes for some other applications as well, like for example Google Gemini, which will also work on this device if I need to. To clarify for every expert, Easy Abroad comes with MicroG pre-installed. No Aurora store cannot be installed here. You have to rely on this store to get to your applications, but you can to get them very easily here, or you can use, like I said, the Chrome trick, just searching for the Play Store link, and it will give you the application there. When it comes to notifications, they arrive on time. You can see here my Amazon notification, which is an Android application, and my KD Connect, which is also an Android application. Some applications, like my Messenger, is not showing me the message, it's just showing view or click for more details. This notification, which is a bit of an odd thing, and the same goes for Reddit and some other messengers. I'm not sure why it's happening. Hopefully they can find a fix for that, because it's quite cumbersome. When I sync up to my watch, however, I get the whole notification on my watch, which is, like I said, probably a bug somewhere in the notification translation layer there. But what are the huge limitations? Finance. All those applications are working. PayPal, however, NFC payment is not working. Even though if I go into my NFC payment option here, under settings, those containerized applications from Android are popping up. And I'm currently using Mobiles Bezahlen, which is my local bank here in Germany, Sparkasse, that allows me to use the NFC here for payments throughout Europe, which is possible very easily. Otherwise, you can rely on WeChat, which is the native version. PayPal, like I said, it's crashing for me, and the Huawei wallet is not working. Curve, sadly, still not working on HarmonyOS 6.0. So this is a bit of an issue. Hopefully at one point they can fix that or allow this to work as well. That will also resolve some of the NFC payment options. But it's working for me, so I cannot complain so much, but I know it's a pain point for some people. The only thing that I need to make sure, and this is a bit of a limitation again of the Android app support, is that I have it opened up like this, and then the NFC is not here, it's here. So I have to hold it quite high on the card reader. Because if I have it closed down, you will see, even if I go in here, only native applications are supported. So I cannot add those. I can add widgets and so on if I want to, but I cannot add applications which are not native, which are running in the Android container. They are still not running here on the outside screen, which makes it a bit of limited. And throughout my usage in the 10 months, I noticed that most of the time what I do is like go in here, set my alarm clock for the morning. That's basically it, what I do. And maybe go to this music application or the one that I like most, which is this one here, to listen to some music when I have headphones plugged in. So this is the most use case that I have. Sometimes, only occasionally, I'm just checking out here RedNote eventually, because RedNote is working nicely in this smallish kind of interface, and emails. Calendar entries as well, if there's an appointment going on, which is also quite helpful. But like I said, most of the time I'm not using the outer screen, which is a bit of a shame, because I think it is quite large and it is quite usable. And before I used the browser, I experimented a little bit. Can I use it? Do I prolong the battery life? And this was the case. And I think it's a good time to talk about the battery life of this device. So the battery life is probably one of the only things that I would really improve in a second generation here. Don't get me wrong, it's not super bad. It will get me through the day, but it will get me just through the day. And I'm now used to, from flagships, to get me even longer, even into the second day. 4720 milliampere hours doesn't sound too bad, especially considering this is a 6.3 inch type display. And you have like a smaller kind of outer display there as well. But I noticed that it is draining a little bit fast, and it's not the 5500 that I would expect, or maybe 6000, 6500 on this kind of, large feeling kind of display, because this is what it is by the 16:10 aspect ratio. It feels very large, and it also maybe then, eats into the battery. And the battery life, like I said, is nothing that I would say is super bad, but it's definitely a point where I would say I would really like to be optimized, this to be optimized with a second generation, put a larger battery in there, make it a bit better in terms of battery life, Charging is quite good, so we have the ability to charge it wired 66 watt and I think 50 watt or 40 watt wireless charging here. And most of the time I'm not using wireless charging, I'll be completely honest there, because it's a bit hard to place this on the wireless charger. Especially the wireless charger, I don't want to charge it with 15 watt because it's just getting hot and it's not charging very quickly. And if I want to fast charge it on a wireless charger, I have to close it down and put it on like this, because if I have it like this and put it on, it will not really charge, because the contacts on my Honor charger that supports also the wireless charging protocol here is not the best. Did I run into any other issues in regards to the software? Android Auto is one thing that is not working on this device. I think USB-C support like OTG is working very fine, and I think it's supporting now with 6.0 even redirection of USB devices to Android containerized apps. So Hibi Music can directly access onto the DACs or dongles that you attach to your phone, which is quite nice. Audio has been fixed. There was an issue with audio in the earliest stages, if you saw my videos before, where audio was sometimes going out of sync with video, especially when the second screen was on. That was an issue. No issue anymore with HarmonyOS 6. I really like it. And also audio in regards to compatibility with USB Type-C headphones or microphones, just like I am using here right now. The Boya Magic was not very given or had some issues. This has been resolved as well. So this is a good point for the Pura X as well. I can use it as a multimedia content station there, even with Android applications. Like I'm cutting this video here on CapCut in the Android container on the device, even though I could also use the native CapCut application, though being in Chinese there. So application support is okay, but it's nothing where I would say I would recommend it for the average Joe, the average dad or something like this, because it can get a little bit tricky here and there with certain things that are still not working. But the stuff that I usually use is working fine. I'm using a Nextcloud calendar to sync up all my calendar appointments with the device so I can see them. I cannot upload them though within the calendar because it's only one-way syncing. So only from my Nextcloud to my device, but not the other way around. So I have to go to the web browser and add the calendar entry there manually, but then it's synced over to all my devices, so I have it. Contact syncing I don't have really working. Yes, you can get the Google Contacts app and then you have all the Google contacts there, but I'm not using Google. I'm using, like I said, Nextcloud, and sadly I didn't find a way besides like exporting the contacts manually and then importing them onto the phone. So this is a bit of a gripe that I still have, one of the bigger things that they have to fix, I think. The rest is working for me. Like DHL parcels. I get lots of DHL parcels and I have a parcel box that I rented. So they are put into the parcel box. I have a special software that allows me to open up the parcel box, working with the Pura X without any issues. The same goes when I have to send a parcel. I can use the same box. I can use the Pura X using the DHL app, which is an Android application. So this is working fine. I don't have any issues there. Like I said, my banking app for doing my normal banking and bank transfers and so on is working fine with the Pura X. No issues there at all. And not only the one, also Trade Republic that I'm also using, the second one. I think I've tried even a third one, not on the Pura X, on the Pura 80 Ultra actually, that I'm recording here with. That is working fine as well. So HarmonyOS 6 is limited in some ways because it doesn't have native Android support, but on the other hand, it's quite surprising how much things are working, how much I can use it as a normal everyday to-day phone. But talking about it, am I using it as a daily driver? Yes, in a way, but it's not the primary daily driver. I have two primary daily drivers, which is the Vivo X200 Ultra and the Oppo Find X8 Ultra. And the Pura X is my third daily driver. So I occasionally use it going outside and doing things, like certain things. I forced myself, for example, using the DHL app only on the Pura X. Also because DHL has a bit of a limitation of devices, how many devices you can connect. So this is why I have only the Pura X for that. And certain other things, like what I really like is the payment, NFC payment with the Pura X, because it always like make people like, whoa, at the cash desk, whoa, what is he doing? He's like flapping it open and putting it on. It looks like magic. So getting a conversation starter there if you want to. This is working most of the time, and also I get some payback points when I'm using this card there that I have on the Pura X, which is fantastic for grocery shopping, for example. If I go like electronic shopping or something like this, most of the time I'm not relying on that so much. Taking photos and using it as selfie cam. Selfie cam, for sure. This is one of the major features, and I really like to do it, especially also with my family members, because this tiny little screen, you can see yourself, which is fantastic. Even though it is so tiny, it is great to have the right, everyone knows when the photo is taken and how they look in the photo, which is quite nice. And you have the power of the main camera sensor, the ultra wide angle, even the zoom if you want to. So very, very nice indeed. And also for vlogging, I really like that. You can see yourself there. Sometimes it's helpful when you're showing specific things. So I also like it very much for vlogging as well. And maybe we talk a little bit more about the camera by using the camera. Talking about the cameras, we have a large 50 megapixel main camera sensor. We have a 40 megapixel ultra wide angle, and we have an 8 megapixel 3.5 times zoom camera. And then of course there's an inner camera sensor there as well here. 10 point something megapixels, but let's be honest, who's gonna use it? So this is now recording here on the Huawei Pura X. So what do you think about this main camera sensor? It's a bit of a smallish kind of sensor, but still performing pretty good for video and especially for vlogs. You get a bit of background blur, stabilization is working nice and fine, up to 4K 60 frames per second. I'm recording at 4K 30. If I want to, even if I'm outdoors here, it's a bit of snowing, you see I can just go to the ultra wide angle. The ultra wide angle being 40 megapixels, a little bit of a smaller sensor, but still working fine outdoors especially. So what do you think about this one? If I want to zoom in on certain things, I can also rely on the telezoom, because even at 4K 30 or 60 frames per second, it's just cropping into the sensor, 3.5 there. And I can go even 5x. Of course, it's not the highest resolution sensor, so if I want to go even further here, up to 10x, which is the maximum, you can see it's falling apart a little bit there. But the reason that you can even record with this 8 megapixel sensor, where they're probably using 6 megapixels and upscaling to 8 megapixels to get to 4K in this video, it's quite useful, and it's quite, like a normal, not camera flagship maybe, but like a normal phone, which is quite nice. And this form factor being so great allows me to do certain things that are, quite unique to this kind of form factor eventually. So if I'm walking here and doing my vlog, I can use my external microphone, of course. I have the whole ecosystem that I can use from Huawei, like my earbuds to listen to, check my audio and such things. But even if I'm going indoors, you can see with the main camera sensor, it is adjusting quite quickly. And because the form factor allows me to do this, even if I don't have a tripod, I can just put the phone down like this, go a little bit back, and then I can talk just normally and have the phone just flipped a little bit, so that you have the ability to prop it up and use it as a vlogging camera even without a tripod. So this is a pretty good feature indeed, even though getting to the phone then might be a bit of a cumbersome thing. But nevertheless, it's a very, very flexible kind of phone that allows you to do such things. And this is what keeps the phone so much fun to use for me. Gaming might be also very interesting on the Pura X, especially with the large inner display. However, I find it a little bit hard to find good games to play on this device. First of all, because the native games that probably run the best here, you need to have a Chinese account or Chinese phone number to able to use those games. That's a bit of a cumbersome kind of thing. So I have to rely on Android games. They run for most part, but you're losing a little bit of like 1% of speed because it's running through the container. But the processor is not I wouldn't recommend gaming here for a hardcore gamer. For some casual games for sure, but not for hardcore gamers. Just a short notice what is wrong with the main keyboard here. You will see that the enter key is just a bit too wide. So the space bar and all the other keys are moving to the left. So when you type in, I find myself hopefully not too often clicking on the dot key instead of the space key. and this is something that is a bit of annoying. You can fix it by using another keyboard, which is the Uruk type keyboard that has it corrected, but this one doesn't support all the features that the Cydia keyboard supports. The other good thing about the Cydia keyboard, however, on the Pura X is because it's so wide. Yeah, I hardly ever type on the dot key and hit the spacebar, so it is pretty good to type on the Cydia keyboard on the Pura X. And I'm not showing Microsoft Twistkey or Google Gboard because it's not possible to use it here, because it can only run within the Android container and not break out of it. And as you need a system app for the keyboard, it is not possible to use them. So all in all, I love this phone. This form factor reminds me a lot of my beloved BlackBerry Passport. It's a pretty wide one. This one still had a keyboard. This one here, you can of course get a virtual keyboard, and then you almost have the same kind of feeling as with the Passport, minus physical keyboard. But overall, this is a very nice form factor, and this is what makes it so special to me, and this is why I'm always grabbing this when I want to read longer text, even write longer text on it, or want to watch some videos, because 16:10 is the perfect aspect ratio. And I really hope that the rumors are true that Huawei is experimenting on a phone slightly bigger than this, still 16:10 aspect ratio, but maybe not foldable. Though this one here has also like the very big advantage that you can just use the camera here for taking nice selfies if you want to, which is definitely something that is becoming handy here for this foldable factor. Yeah, I'm very, very happy. I'm also very interested in seeing the second generation of this foldable Pura X. So Pura X2, hopefully soon this year. I love the first generation and definitely will keep it. And depending on how good the second generation will be, I might think about getting the second generation, giving it a chance, because the only really gripe that I have with this one is probably the battery life. If you're thinking about the Pura X, keep in mind it's not running Android. Android are second-class citizens in terms of applications, and you can get them to run, but you don't get the same experience as with any other Android phone. So this here, as a secondary phone or as a tablet replacement, like a small little tablet, definitely a very good phone. Also as a second phone, definitely very good phone. It has 5G support, also here in Europe. At least in Germany, it's working fine with the Deutsche Telekom as a provider, as a carrier. I get 5G speeds here, which is very, very nice. And this is, I think, overall a very good device, even in 2026. This is my experience, 10 months with the Pura X. If you have some questions, put them down below. Until the next time, bye.